Welcome to Deck Analysis and Testing. Today we have a look at Star Seraph. Star Seraph, also known as Stick Chair, has been a part of a top tier strategy 3 years ago and now has a busted skill that makes him playable as a standalone strategy. Previously known for only having 2 playable monsters that form a 2-card combo, now the deck is full of 1-card combos that can make a rank 4 without normal summoning, and 2-card combos that can play for interruptions, draw cards, and crack boards. Let's have a look at the monsters. First we have the best one, Star Seraph Scepter, which is the stick part of Stick Share. This card, when normal or special summoned, can add a Star Seraph monster from your deck to your hand, and when used as an Xyz material with Xyz monster that requires 3 or more Xyz materials, you can destroy a card on the field and then draw a card. It's really good at breaking your opponent's board and also drawing cards at the same time. Next is the second best monster we have, is the Chair, and this card can only be used as an Xyz material if you use 3 or more monsters, so you can't use it for a 2-mat Xyz. And also when you normal or special summon a Star Seraph, you can special summon this card from your hand and draw a card. If it's another Star Seraph, you can also special summon it for free as well. And the old combo that we used to do without the broken skill is to have both Stick and Chair in our hand, normal summon the Stick, activate its effect, chain Chair, summon a Chair, and then grab a second copy of a Chair from the Stick, and then because the first Chair summons after the second, after the Stick, you can also trigger the second Chair from the summon of the first Chair. So that gives you 3 level 4s, which you can make a rank 4 Xyz using 3 level 4 monsters. Next are the bad Star Seraphs, which aren't really that bad with the new skill. We have Star Seraph Scale. This card, when special summoned, can special summon another Star Seraph from your hand, and then place 1 light monster from the graveyard to the top deck. And also, if you use this card as an Xyz material with 3 or more materials, you can also gain this effect that when you or your opponent special summon from your or their hand, you can draw a card for free. This is once per turn, but it does stack, so if you use multiple scales, you can draw multiple cards, and that really comes up a lot. Next is a Star Seraph Scout. This card simply has the effect to special summon a Star Seraph when it is a normal summoned. And finally, we have a Star Seraph Sage. This is a level 4 that can special summon from your hand by discarding a spell. This seems like a worse version of Scout, but in reality it is better because the skill just gives you a spell for free when you use one of its effects. You can usually discard the rank up magic that you usually won't use to use this effect, and because it is a spell speed 1 effect instead of a on summon effect, you can also use this effect if you summon this from your skill. For our back row, we were playing 3 copies of Spiritual Entanglement. This deck is really good going second, so we want to play stuff that helps us play through our opponent's board. And this is a spell that gets rid of one of our opponent's monsters, and it gets rid of any potentially annoying boss monsters that might have quick effects that stop our combo. For traps, we were playing 2 Floodgates for our rank 4 Rafflesia. We are playing 2 Horror House and 1 Time Space Trap Hole. Time Space Trap Hole is usually very good, but not so much in the current meta because decks like Sacred Beast don't really summon from the extra deck, even though they do summon from hand. But they can still, just print out a Sacred Beast from deck for free using their skill, which just doesn't really help. And also decks like Star Seraph can just make the Teller Knight that just cannot respond to, so that's not very useful for that either. For the extra deck, we're playing 1 copy of C102 Archfiend Seraph. This is a Chaos Xyz that we usually won't go into, but it is nice as an option. And the normal 102 is a much better monster, especially because of our skill, giving it 2 attacks per battle phase. This card needs 3 level 4s, and can once per turn detach 1 Xyz material, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, half its attack, and negate its effects. Also, if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can just detach all the Xyz materials instead, and also halve any battle damage you take for the rest of the turn. This card is really good especially going second, because it not only gets rid of your opponent's monsters by halving its attack and negating its effects, it also can attack twice because of your skill. Next are the Xyz that only uses 2 level 4s. We have one Fairy Cheer Girl, which we can very easily make and just gives us free draws. Dark Rebellion is good going second, and Rafflesia is good going first to send trap holes from our deck to disrupt our opponent. You can also make Anti-Luminescent Light pretty easily, and you can make this before you make the free material Star Seraph, so that you can protect it from any sort of back row your opponent might have. You can just use its effect to redirect any sort of targeting quick effect to any monster on the field. And finally, we have one copy of Vespinato. It's a pretty good Xyz to just rank on top of any of our not so useful rank 4s. It has piercing, and also when it's destroyed, you can revive a monster from your graveyard. And usually it will be a stick, which gets you a search as well. Let's have a look at the skill. Barrier Battle Morph, it's the skill that you get from level 20 of the new character. And it locks you into only normal special summoning Star Seraphs, and also lets your number 102 monsters attack twice for each battle phase. The first effect lets you summon 1 Star Seraph from hand and deck, both simultaneously, and it summons them face down, but you can flip them during the turn that it's set. The second effect is to add a rank up spell from thin air to your hand, and also send a monster from your field to the graveyard and set a Star Seraph directly from your deck. So this is a really good effect to play around your opponent's disruptions, particularly stuff like Book of Moon that flips your stuff face down, because this does work for face down monsters. You can send face down monsters to graveyard, similarly to the Performance skill, but instead of shuffling back, it sends. So you can also steal your opponent's monsters with Mind Control or Crackdown, and then send those monsters for your cost, and then just summon your Star Seraphs from your deck and get yourself a free spell, which will usually be discarded with the effect of Sage to summon another monster from your hand. Okay, so here we have the expensive version, and the expensive version is really good. It's probably tier 1, it's currently not tier 1 yet because it's fairly new, and the tier list is still not completely confirmed yet since the new box, but I think this deck is really strong. It's at least tier 2, if not tier 1. So the expensive version plays 3 sticks, which is obviously really strong because stick is just insane. It can pop cards, it draws you cards, and it's even more insane when you make it with Stellar Knight Deltros, which doesn't even let your opponent respond when you use your stick effects to pop the field and draw cards. This is a really strong combo, which is insanely good going second to clear your opponent's board without your opponent being able to respond to the effect disruptions. So they can't, chain in response to activate some back row before they get popped. No, they can't do that. And we're playing 1 less copy of Scout and 1 less copy of Sage, since we are playing more sticks. I want to keep the monster ratio to 12. This is probably good for a 20 card deck, because this deck does like to open with a bit more monsters. Even though we're playing some amount of back row, it's still good to have more monsters in hand, so that if we go second, we have more gas to combo with. And for our back row, we're playing Book of Moon. Needle Sealing is pretty good in this meta, and also it's pretty good in our deck specifically, because if we make a 102 turn 1, it can protect itself from being popped by Needle Sealing while we can clear our opponent's board. And this card is especially good against combo decks like Fleur, Borrowlink, and also the Mirror Match, and just wipes your opponent's board, and that's really strong. Also, Crackdown is pretty strong in this meta because it is probably the best limit-free trap that you can play. We can't really play IDP in this deck because of the skill. And Crackdown plays around stuff like Cerulean Skyfire, because in case you don't know, you can't actually negate Crackdown with Cerulean because it negates the activation and doesn't destroy the card. So basically the ruling state that it still lets you steal it. It's kind of like negating it with Crystron Impact, which I have done before, which it doesn't work, by the way. So yeah, you can still use Crackdown even if your opponent tries to negate it with Cerulean. For the extra deck, we have Deltaros, which I have mentioned. It doesn't let your opponent respond when you summon, which is really strong in combination with our stick. And also can once per turn detach when you pop a card on the field. We're playing 1/102. Abyssal is pretty good against some decks like Unchained, Vespernato. Castel is a pretty good generic rank 4 using 2 materials and gets rid of a card on the field. Exoton Knight is pretty good as the first thing you do if you're facing an opponent with a free set back row. You can very oftentimes make this card as like the first Xyz that you make, using the first effect of your skill to summon 2 level 4s without using your normal summon. Make this card, immediately clear of your opponent's back row, and then you can commit to actually using your normal summon to make it good monsters. Ouroboros is pretty good going first. It rips a card from your opponent's hand. Also pretty good going second. It banishes a card from your opponent's graveyard, which can potentially stop them from doing their follow-up or having a graveyard quick effect. It's so good against decks like Shiranui going first. You can just banish the Spectral Sword. And also, it has a bounce effect from the field as well. So if you go turn 1 Ouroboros, and then you rip a card, and then during your opponent's turn, if they don't get rid of your Ouroboros, you can just next turn, the first thing you do, just detach another one, bounce back where your opponent might have, and then just resume your combo. And finally, okay, let's talk about Tri-Edge Levia. This card might seem strange. It's a rank 3, and it's strange. In a rank 4 deck with no level manipulation effects at all, it might seem strange that we're playing this card. But there is one particular card that is seeing play in ranked in the meta right now, called Stygian Dirge. It is a continuous trap that I can actually pull it out right now because I am using my website, which I can just search right now. This card, Stygian Dirge, is a rare continuous trap, which is pretty easy to obtain, and has the continuous effect of reducing all your opponent's monsters' levels by 1 at any time. Just as long as this card is on the field, it just reduces its level by 1. This is normally really devastating. It's not a very good card, by the way, because it doesn't counter a lot of the other meta decks like Boro Link or Sacred Beast or Unchained or Live Twin or even Strikers. It's not a very good card to play overall, but some people are playing this card, and I have seen it a couple of times. That's why we're playing a rank 3. When our opponent uses that card against us, we just go, okay, cool, we're just gonna make the rank 3 anyway, and we can use it. We can even make it with a copy of Scepter, or even multiple copies, and then we can just pop the Stygian and then resume our combos as normal. And this card also has a pretty good effect. It has effect that can, as a quick effect, to detach 1 to negate a face-up monster's effects and decrease its attack by 800. It's pretty good. Okay, let's have a look at the replays. First game we're playing against. Who knows what they're playing? Okay, we're gonna go. Well, we're going first. Okay, our opponent is playing Chronomaly, and we did open a Star Seraph, which is all we need going first. We just need any low-level monster, any Star Seraph in our hand will be able to do it, because we can just use our skill, summon it from our hand, summon another one from deck, and then make Rafflesia, set back for impasse. Opponent does have an MST, but it is not going to be enough. We have a Floodgate set and Rafflesia, which also equates to another Floodgate. We can Floodgate their first summon, and then they can revive the Moai. We can Floodgate again, and by the way, Floodgate Travel is available from box chips, so it is very easy to obtain. Opponent will normal summon a Neberdisc, but they can't really do anything because they have 2 set monsters that they can't use as material. And then during our turn, we can just combo off by summoning the other Star Seraph from my hand, making a rank 4. We're going to make Dark Rebellion, to gain attack and beat over that attack position Nebra Disc, dealing 25, and then we're going to make a Vespinato that has piercing. We're going to attack, he, for whatever reason, uses the statue, but doesn't really matter, we can just pierce over that set monster and deal damage for lethal. Okay, in our game 2, we're going first again, but this deck is actually better going second. I would argue that this deck is better going second because the extra effect of the skill is active when your opponent goes first, and also Stick becomes insanely good when your opponent has stuff on field which you can pop and draw cards from. We're going first, so let's make a Rafflesia and set the Floodgate, Trap Hole, and Pass just like before. We're going to keep the Stick and Chair in hand for next turn for OTKing our opponent. Opponent is actually playing Ancient Gears, that's pretty cool. He's going to summon a Hound from deck, activate Gear Town, let's flip that Hound face down before he can use it as a fusion material. And then as he summons the Reactor Dragon, let's flip that face down as well. And then turns out he has the Hound in hand, so he's just going to normal summon the Hound and infuse 4 monsters to make Chaos Ancient Gear Giant, which does have piercing, but isn't enough because it can only attack monsters multiple times, but that is not enough. We can still do the normal Stick Chair combo that we all have seen if you've played Duel Links in 2021. Having a stick and 2 chairs, we're going to make Star Seraph Sentry. And then we're going to use the stick effect to pop the Chaos Ancient Gear Giant, draw a card, and our opponent will be scooping it up. In our third game, let's have a look at the expensive version and see how well it does. We're going second, so let's see how strong this deck going second is actually. Okay, our opponent is going to lead with a Dark Beckoning Beast, just the usual Sacred Beast stuff. We do open with the stick, and Book of Moon is not very good in this matchup, but it's still going to be pretty useful just overall. Opponent will be summoning a Hamon, making a rank 2. Jin Buster doesn't really do too much against our deck because we can just make our Stellar Knight and then be able to use the effect of Stick, and he can't really negate the effect anyway. We're gonna normal summon the Stick, it's fine. I completely expected him to negate that, but the game just Search doesn't really do a whole lot, and it still doesn't prevent me from using the effect when I use it as an Xyz material. He's gonna activate Stygian Dirge, which I talked about in the deck breakdown, and thankfully in this expensive version we have exactly the out to this very particular card. We're gonna summon a third stick from our deck, and then we're gonna use 3 sticks to make the Rag-free Tri-Edge Levia. And we're going to activate the effect 3 times, popping 3 cards on the field. He has Effect Veiler, which sucks if we didn't have the Book of Moon to actually ensure that our monster resolves. We're gonna pop all 3, draw 3 cards, that's really cool, but we can't really do anything else because we flipped our own monster face down. So we're just going to have to set 2 and pass. Our opponent will activate the field spell. We can chain the Crackdown before the field spell actually goes into effect, so we're going to steal the Hamon before it gets the protection. Opponent is going to normal summon in Dark Beckoning and then normal summon Chaos Summoning Beast, and that is the biggest mistake he has ever made because now he has 0 monsters in hand and used up his normal summon and has 4 monsters on the field. It is the perfect opportunity to activate Needle Sealing, pop everything. He doesn't even have a target for the skill effect to summon a Sacred Beast, and with nothing on field and hand, he is just gonna scoop.